Coming up tonight on News Center Now, it's another beautiful late summer day, but winter is coming, and so is the polar coaster. At least that's what they're saying in this year's Farmer's Almanac. Now, we love Peter Geiger and the Almanac, but we wondered, how much do you trust their forecast? We're asking that tonight.
And students and kids and families getting ready for back to school. Changes coming to one school district's menu that may surprise you. This is News Center Now.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Nelson.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. Welcome back, Lee.
Thank you.
As school starts pretty soon, some new Mainers will begin classes in a foreign land, but thanks to local leaders, they won't be unprepared. Selena and Nora Harrison have been working with families seeking asylum and living in Brunswick. The mother-daughter duo have made it their summer project to acclimate these families to life in Maine.
Now, several of the high school age soccer players have made it to the varsity team. And while the coach says she's learning how to coach in different languages, but for Selena, the learning experience has been a humbling one too.
And when I brought some of the moms to Hannaford, I had people stop me and say, "Are they from the expo? Tell them welcome to America." And they've really welcomed us as much as we've welcomed them.
Now, schools in Brunswick begin September the 3rd. They are expecting about 30 new faces in the halls this year. Other news we're following this Monday evening, a man from Bangor is behind bars tonight for stalking a 14-year-old girl.
Brian McDonald was arrested yesterday at the Bangor Farmers Market. News Center's Jackie Mundry joins us now from Bangor with the details. Jackie?
Lee and Lindsay, 46-year-old Brian McDonald appeared here at the Penobscot Judicial Center before a judge earlier this afternoon. Court documents show that he first saw his 14-year-old victim about a month ago on a city bus. Yesterday, he went to the Bangor Farmers Market, where the girl's family has a stand. There, the girl's parents reportedly told McDonald to go away. Court documents reveal McDonald told police that it was, quote, no big deal, and that he had, quote, plenty of 14-year-old girlfriends. McDonald has a criminal history in 8 states and is currently being held at the Penobscot County Jail on $5,000 cash. In court this afternoon, his attorney said that he only has $200 to his name, so McDonald remains behind bars tonight. If you recognize McDonald or suspect him of committing similar crimes, Bangor Police and the District Attorney's Office hope that you reach out to the police department. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, thank you very much. Before we get to our first look at the forecast, we wanted to talk about the polar coaster, not roller coaster, polar coaster. That's the term that this year's Farmer's Almanac is using to describe the upcoming winter here in Maine.
Yeah, here's a look at their predictions this year across the country. The Lewiston-based Almanac is known nationwide for its annual release and fun facts, but we want to know how much you trust its weather predictions. Go and vote right now at pulse.newscentermaine.com or find the Pulse tab at our mobile app.
That's right. And as I said at the open too, Peter Geiger, we love you and we love the Almanac. We just want to see what people think about the forecast.
Right now, 89% saying you trust it a little bit.
Okay. Right, fair enough. Let's
we trust Keith a little bit.
Right. Well, right. Yeah,
that's a different pulse.
I think it's perfect.
We're skewing young right now, I'd say, because I think when you get to a certain age, I've heard a lot of people say that they really trust it. So we'll see how it goes through the show, and then we'll talk about it in brain drops tonight. All right, let's start with where we are in the upper 60s to mid 70s, depending on your location. 70 flat in Portland, 71 in Bangor. Down East Maine in the mid and upper 60s for the most part. Dew points, though, are low, and that's really what changed our feeling over the past few days through the weekend, is that once dew points collapsed down into the 40s and 50s, it started that fall-like feeling that continues, I think, today. Those dew points will start rising back up through the middle part of the week, and that will be one of the biggest noticeable changes, and it'll start feeling at least a little bit more summery as opposed to fall. We have a lot of sunshine for most of the state, but the northern third, or really fourth, into down East Maine has some cloud cover there. part of a system that's retrograding, moving back to the west. But all of that is eventually moving away from us. It's kind of like one of those snowstorms that stalls off to our north and east and just brings some cloud cover to down east and northern Maine, but will be inconsequential through the night tonight. So it looks pretty good, partly cloudy tonight. Tomorrow looks beautiful and actually a little bit warmer. Guys, will be in the upper 70s and some low 80s by tomorrow afternoon, which will make a huge difference. More humidity by midweek, and we have a couple of tropical systems to talk about as well. So we'll do that in a few minutes.
All right, Keith, lots of stuff. Thanks. Talk to you in a bit. Headlines this Monday. New England Patriots safety Patrick Chung waived a court appearance in New Hampshire this morning on a cocaine possession charge. His lawyer entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Chung hasn't played in any of the preseason games. There's no word if he's going to play this Thursday night in their final one. Coach Belichick is certainly not answering any questions about the Chung case, which should not come as a surprise. Chung is now scheduled for a court appearance on November the 8th.
Media mogul Harvey Weinstein back in court today in New York City. He was arraigned on a new indictment connected to his sex crimes case. Prosecutors want jurors to hear from another victim who says Weinstein raped her in 1993. He pleaded not guilty to the new indictment. New York prosecutors have accused him of sexually assaulting 2 women in 2006 and 2013. He also faces 5 other charges. If convicted, he faces up to life behind bars.
At the G7 summit in France, world leaders agreed to provide $20 million to help countries in South America fight the wildfires plaguing the Amazon. In Brazil's Amazon rainforest alone, more than 41,000 fires have raged so far this year. More than 2,000 are still active. Experts say most of these fires were actually set by farmers and ranchers clearing existing farmland. The loss of vegetation is, of course, devastating, but the fires are also emitting large amounts of smoke and carbon into the atmosphere.
Ask Now. We've got some questions about a balloon release at Mount Ararat High School this weekend. It's the 5th annual Drive Out Cancer Field Hockey Tournament, and part of the fundraiser for cancer research is a balloon release. Well, there's been a lot of pushback from people about this part because of the damage that balloons can cause to the environment and wildlife. Sean Chabot is the superintendent of MS 8075, and he says the district decided today to not do the balloon release this year. He added that they recognize the concerns and are planning on doing something different to recognize and honor those lost to the terrible disease.
A judge in Oklahoma this afternoon has ruled against Johnson & Johnson in a landmark opioid trial. The judge ruled that Johnson & Johnson and its subsidiary companies helped fuel Oklahoma's major drug crisis. The punishment? The company has been ordered to pay $572 million to help address the problem. And this case in Oklahoma is important because it could shape negotiations in 1,500 other opioid lawsuits that have been consolidated in the state of Ohio. Big Papi, David Ortiz, has hired former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis to investigate the shooting that almost killed him last summer.
Yeah, Big Papi was shot in the back in the Dominican Republic in June, and it's still not clear if he was the intended target. Well, over the weekend, David Ortiz posted a picture of himself for the first time since that happened. He also posted about dropping his daughter, Alex, off at Berklee College of Music in Boston. In his caption, he says, "Good luck with everything, and remember to be great. You have to bring the best out of you every day." Some good advice from Dad.
Great school. My son Xander went there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great
awesome.
Great place. All right. Amazon is under fire for allowing unsafe products to be sold on its site. We're going to see what the tech giant is doing to stop this from happening in the future coming up.
And from the kitchen to the cafeteria, vegan recipes will now be available in some Maine school districts. This story when we come back.
All right, we're back with a question. Ever order something on Amazon because it's highlighted as a special Amazon choice? Turns out not all of those products have been properly vetted.
Interesting. A new investigation by the Wall Street Journal found thousands of unsafe or mislabeled products on Amazon. The newspaper found more than 4,000 items from sellers that have been banned or declared unsafe by federal regulators. And nearly half of the items were listed as shipped from an Amazon warehouse in quotations. Some toys and medications lacked warnings about risks to children, and more than 100 items had actually been previously banned by Amazon. Since these findings were brought to the company's attention, the Journal said they took down or adjusted the wording on more than half of those listings. Does your dog like riding in the car?
Mine does.
Mine do too.
Yours do too, yeah. But it turns out there's a good way and a bad way to let them ride, okay? And you can probably figure this out. Researchers followed 15 people who were driving with their dogs for more than 30 hours. And they found the risk of unsafe driving behaviors and distracted driving more than doubled when the dog was allowed to roam freely throughout the vehicle, right? Makes sense. This is compared to when the dog was restrained or in a crate or a carrier. Also, the drivers' heart rates were likely to increase if their dogs were unrestrained. And some of the bad behaviors included dogs climbing on the owner's lap or jumping from seat to seat. Bad because, of course, the drivers tend to watch the pet instead of the road.
And speaking of dogs, as we often do, we're celebrating International Dog Day, the 27th of this year so far. Here are some at least, right? Here are some of the pictures that you guys have sent us today. I love that one at Bug Light where, is it Aria is sitting on that rock in front of the Bug Light? We have a couple of our dogs like that. It's a great photo op. I love it. Thank you guys so much for sharing.
Yeah, good pictures.
The magic of Disney is coming to Target stores, just what we needed, right, for our wallets. The Disney stores at Target will feature toys, games, clothing, and accessories. I say this now because I have a little one on the way and we're going to be buying all this stuff.
You will.
Until now, these are items that have only been available at Disney retail locations. The Disney space will also feature music, interactive displays, photo ops, and a seating area where families can watch Disney movie clips. This is happening soon. It'll first debut in 25 locations around the country in October, and then another 40 will open by the fall of 2020. Right now, though, no main stores are making this list.
So you're saying, you know, how fun it's going to be when you go with your child. And I can remember how fun it was when I had little ones. And I can tell you it would be torture for me now to go into that store. Just all depends on where you are in life, you know.
It depends where you are in life. Well, it might pay off to have an excuse when you get pulled over for speeding. Literally, we'll have some new research that suggests to do that.
Okay, and Keith is back with a full look at the forecast, of course. You know, there are a lot of reasons why kids may go vegan. Maybe it's just a family choice. Maybe they have certain allergies that kind of forces the issue.
Sure. The school cafeteria, though, can be one place that's really challenging for them to find vegan options. But this year that's changing, at least at one main school district that's changing its menu to be more inclusive. Avery Camilla went vegan in college.
And I think cutting out dairy was so huge. I had so much more energy. I felt so much better. Like I wasn't sick or anything beforehand, but I just was like, whoa, like I just had such a lift in energy.
Now her son Alden is also vegan.
I mean, it was just a no-brainer because that's how I cook and how I eat.
She spends a lot of time in the kitchen making vegan recipes like this mac and cheese. And during the school year, the meal prep for her son is key due to a lack of vegan options.
Going to school and, you know, not having an option for lunch was tough for him because he wanted to, you know, do what his friends and what the other kids were doing.
But this year, things are different. He's getting ready to start first grade next week, and Portland Public Schools will offer a vegan hot lunch option every day at its 10 elementary schools.
We're going to try a sloppy joe that's made with lentils, and then a rice and bean burrito, as well as a vegetarian pizza made with hummus.
Jane McLucas is the food service director at Portland Public Schools.
It really started with a want to improve our vegetarian options that we already served in the Portland Public Schools. And when I started diving into what that change would mean, it seemed like a natural progression to go to the vegan option.
McLucas says it will be a huge benefit for students of different cultural and ethnic backgrounds with dietary restrictions, and a benefit for Avery Camilla.
What do you think that you'll eat?
That pizza.
A mom who can rest easy knowing her child can order hot lunch like the other kids and give the home cooking a rest, at least for lunch. And McLucas says they will roll out the vegan options at the elementary schools first because the middle and high schools they do have salad bars and deli bars that vegan students can already utilize. And a couple of other main school districts, by the way, already offer vegan lunch options, and those are Falmouth and Kittery.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit this pulse poll one more time before we talk to Keith. How much do you trust the weather predictions in the Farmer's Almanac? A little, winning by a mile right now. What do you think about that, Keith?
I'll give you my thoughts in a little bit.
I figured you would.
It's funny. There's like different schools on this within weather. Some people are really opposed, and I agree. I would preface all of it by saying we really like Peter. It's not about.
Oh no, and it's
that. But
and the Almanac is it's so many things to so many people.
Right.
It's, one part of which is the forecast.
yeah,
Sure.
it's supposed to be like I said. There's tips. There's
there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
recipes.
Yeah, and it's a great throwback to the old days.
Right.
It
I
really,
use
really
the
is.
Almanac to pick a wedding date,
There you
Just
go.
wanting to have an outdoor wedding. I didn't know Keith yet, so I couldn't bug Keith about it.
Well, and you have to
Was it
plan
a nice day?
Yeah, and it
You have
was.
to plan
Boom!
a year in advance, so that's a problem. All right, let's start with where we were this morning. It was cool out there. A lot of 40s on the map. 47 in Portland, 43 in Rangeley, 41 in Freiburg, and 40 flat in Sanford. Close to some upper 30s into the mountains and some of the spots that didn't have the sensors reporting there. High temperatures today, though, rebounded into the mid-70s for the most part, which is kind of a hallmark of fall, is those big diurnal swings from the morning to your afternoon high. A lot of sunshine out there, just some high thin clouds going into central Maine and some thicker clouds over northern and down east Maine. That's as the system kind of backs its way towards Maine, but it eventually will stall and move away from us. So even though it looks like rain is coming, it's not. The showers stay offshore. Overnight tonight, we'll call it mostly clear. Temperatures drop into the 40s and low 50s for the most part. And tomorrow's a nice bright day. It's a little bit warmer than today, upper 70s, a couple of scattered 80s around by tomorrow afternoon. And then Wednesday, clouds start thickening later in the day. And the humidity's up here more so on Wednesday and into Thursday, and so that makes it feel less like fall. Temperatures here in the 70s, maybe an isolated shower on Wednesday afternoon, and then here comes a front that's going to come through on Thursday with a lot of tropical moisture associated with it as it's actually pushing a storm out to sea. So some showers and some downpours through at least the first half of the day, if not most of the day, on Thursday. Take a look at our tropical outlook because we do have technically a depression now, a 90% chance per the National Hurricane Center that this becomes Tropical Storm Erin. However, it doesn't really matter because it'll be out to sea by quite a bit from the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. There is another system behind it that we're watching more closely. It's a tropical storm right now, Dorian, and it will likely become at least a Cat 1 hurricane on its way towards Florida, but that's about a week away. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if anything comes of it as it moves to the northwest. So as typically happens, quiet hurricane season, and all of a sudden now some stuff starting to cook up. Here, quiet right through Wednesday afternoon, then some showers and storms, and again, a humid day on Thursday. Looks good on Friday, back into the 80s. This weekend doesn't look totally dissimilar to last weekend. A few degrees warmer, but otherwise bright enough. Just not 60s, it should be mid-70s or so. Not bad.
Good, I'll take that.
Yeah, easy sailing for now.
I'm sure we have some more heat somewhere in there.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Keith, thanks a lot.
Thanks. Police officers have heard all the excuses in the book when they pull over drivers for speeding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm late for school. I couldn't find my car keys. I'm late.
Right. I don't know the area.
Right. For some reason, they kind of sometimes work, but some research on these roadside pleas for mercy has turned up something that's almost as effective as an excuse, too. Here's Chris Clackham to tell us.
When it comes to speeding, a new survey finds the vast majority of us freely admit we do it.
We had 82% admitting that they drive over the speed limit by as much as 15 miles per hour.
So then the survey asked, when stopped by police, what excuse did you use? 24% claimed they didn't realize they were speeding. 18% said they were late for work. Another 14% remarked they were just going as fast as everyone else. There were more excuses, and interestingly, most are effective.
Half of the drivers we surveyed avoided speeding tickets by providing an excuse.
But Michelle Magna with carinsurance.com says the survey found that almost as good as offering an excuse is asking the officer for just a warning.
41% of the drivers we surveyed asked for a warning received it instead of a ticket.
A speeding ticket that comes with fines and auto insurance increases of up to 30%. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
All right, so ask for a warning. Can't hurt, right?
Can't hurt.
They can say no or they can say yes.
Exactly.
All right, Cindy's here to tell us what's coming up in the next half hour.
That's right. We've got a lot more information now about the charges faced by a Bangor School District employee. Court documents revealing just how many child pornography pictures police say they found on his computer. And also these documents lay out concerns that had been expressed by the man's wife. We'll have that. Plus, it sure seems like there's plenty of road construction projects going on out there, but some are actually on hold at this point because lawmakers couldn't agree on how to handle some of the transportation bonds during the last session. They are now back in Augusta, those lawmakers, and we're going to have a lot more on what's going on up there coming up at 5:30. Back to you.
Right.
Sounds good.
We'll see you guys at 5:30. We're back with raindrops after this. One last check at our Pulse poll tonight. 66% saying you trust the Farmer's Almanac a little bit. Thanks for joining the Pulse poll.
All right, let's do our brain drops here for today, which is going to be related to the Farmer's Almanac, of course.
Perfect.
So, 66% of you trust it a little. Should you trust it at all? Let's go back a little bit in history and talk about it. And we're only going to talk about what happened in the Northeast and Maine specifically.
Okay.
2015, wintry, white, and wet. Okay, so what did we end up with in 2015-16? The second warmest winter on record, first warmest in Bangor, and in the bottom 10 for snow.
Oh.
So no go on that one. Let's go
Okay.
to 2016 and 17. Snowy and bitter cold. Okay, so that implies to me that it would be below average for temperature. Well, it was the fifth warmest winter on record in Portland and the 15th in Bangor, and it was in the bottom fourth for snow as well.
Interesting.
Okay, 2017-18, ice cold and snow filled. Well, this one's a tough one because it was the 28th and 34th warmest, so, you know, top half, and then 29th snowiest. You know what, let's give it to them. Let's give it to them. All right, we're going to give them that one. So they got that one. 2018 and 19, last winter, cold and white. Although we did have a little stretch of cold weather. Again, it was in the top 25 warmest and only 62nd for snow through the winter. So we can't give them that one
Okay,
either.
and well, let's go back to 2017 for a second,
Yes.
because that was the winter that we had the four nor'easters.
The four Easters.
You know, the four Easters, right?
But it didn't, you know, it didn't add up to that much
didn't
for this
add up.
season. So the bottom line here is it's a good book to get. There's a lot of tips, there's recipes in it. If we could forecast 1 year out, we would forecast 1 year out, right? So anything like that, you have to take with a grain of salt. Seasonal forecasting is so difficult, even with global computer models, and that's not what they're using. So just enjoy it, but please do not plan your winter around it.
Or your wedding.
Or your wedding.
Thanks, Keith. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.